or minus.
Hello everyone. I just need, on behalf of our organizing committee, welcome you all to the session 2 of day 1. It is essential to have, it is also essential that the tools should be used in right way. Yes, the topic for the session is effective teaching techniques and tools. And the resource person for the day is Dr. Dr. Pargat Singh Gacha. Dr. Pargat Singh Gacha is working as principal in GHG College of Education, Kursar Sudhar, Ludhiana. Sir has over 15 years of experience in teaching and research. Sir has to his credit 9 books and more than 40 publications in various journals and on diverse in field of education. Sir has guided more than 19 students in M.Ed research and PhD thesis. Dr. Pagat Singh as college principal and Secretary of Punjab and Chandigarh Chapter for Council for Teacher Education has organized several seminars, conferences at state, national and international level. Sir has also provided his services as NAT assessor to NAT. I am short of words to express his whole personality. In brief, I would like to say he is an icon of education. And now I will request Sir to delight us with his kind words. Over to you, Sir.
Thank you very much, Jasmeet ma'am, for your so kind words. We are Punjabi, and in this reason, we always welcome our guest with an open heart. So I'm really thankful for your words, but it is also a very difficult task to fulfill the expectation from these words. So I will try my best to create an environment where we can discuss with each other a very important topic. This will be a platform for learning for both of us. I will also try to learn so many things from your faculty members, and I will try to share some of the experiences which can be beneficial in the classroom. So first of all, I am really thankful to the Dev Samaj College for Women Chandigarh for giving me an opportunity to discuss my views or some of the time-tested techniques and tools with the faculty of Dev Samaj College for Women Chandigarh. And I am also thankful to the management, the principal, and Madam Dr. Kavita ji. She was continuously in touch with me from last 10-15 days for planning of this session. So I'm really thankful to each and everyone. As you have already completed one beautiful session in the morning by Dr. Kuldeep Puri ji. I joined the session for just 10 to 15 minutes to get an idea so that in our session, we should not repeat the same things. So I think I'm really thankful to Dr. Kuldeep Puri ji also. He has set the tone of the FDP, and I will try to avoid the things which are already covered by the Dr. Kuldeep Puri ji. So I will be starting with my small presentation. I think, yes, I can share my screen. Yes, I think screen is visible, Madam Jasmeet.
Yes, sir, it is visible very
Okay,
much.
fine. Yes. So you have taken a very good topic, art and science of effective teaching strategies and methods for your FDP. Before starting the session, I would like to make a humble request to all the faculty members that you are free to ask any question in between. We can make this session an interactive session. At any slide or at any point you want to discuss anything, you are most welcome, because it should not be a one-sided affair that I will be speaking for 2 hours and you will be listening. That will be a boring lecture. So we would like to make this session an interactive session. You're always welcome to ask any question. So first of all, I would like to congratulate the organizer to select these two words: art and science of effective teaching strategies and methods. You have taken two words. One is a art, another one is a science. When we analyze these two terms, the two concepts separately, the art is like I would like to add one example of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a great teacher. Swami Vivekananda Ji, he was a great teacher. But I think both the great personalities haven't taken a teacher training course from any training college or attended any HRDC center or such kind of teacher training programs. But still, they were the best teacher we have seen till now. So in the same way, some of the teachers are born teachers. They have an art जिसको हम बोलें कि उन्होंने इम्बाइब किया है, वो आर्ट उनको मिला है. They have that art. But on the other side, we have taken another word, that is a science. Basically, when we try to explain the science in 2 or 3 words, we can say that science explains cause and effect relationship. There is one cause and there will be one effect. So it is a cause and effect study when we talk about the science. So when we are talking teaching in context of science or a science in context of teaching, so we have to admit that there are some causes, there are some elements, there are some principles, there are some maxims. If we will be using those maxims, principles, techniques, tools, then ultimately there must be some effect of these techniques and tools. That's we call it a science, a study of cause and effect. So these two terms are interrelated. One is a art, another is a science. So we will be trying to explore these two terms in a more comprehensive way in the coming slides. Here I would also like to discuss one thing, that a teaching is a tripolar process. Tripolar means it has 3 poles. One is a teacher, another one is a student, and third one is a social environment. Whenever we are teaching in a classroom, our classroom is a social environment where teacher and students interact with each other. So we consider that a teaching is a tripolar process. It has 3 poles. One is a teacher, a second one is a student, and third one is a social environment. Now, if we will be looking at the developed countries right now or the developing countries, we will admit that a nation with advanced education system is considered as superior and dominant. Like China and India are working together, are moving together, and the success of one country will depend that what kind of education system it has. Education system of each and every nation is based on 2 prominent questions. The first one is what to teach. It means the content, it means the curriculum, it means the policies, what to teach. And the second question, that is very important question, is how to teach. How to teach is a very important component of any educational system. It means the techniques, the tools, the methods, the assessment procedure, that is how to teach. It implies the teaching methodologies. So if we will be thinking in our Indian context, we have to think on these two issues: what to teach, and another one is how to teach. We Indian are very expert to make a very good curriculums or a very good policies, but on a other note, or on a sad note, we are not able to transact the curriculum properly in the classrooms. It means we are lacking somewhere in the techniques and teaching, the methodology to transact that beautiful curriculum to our students. So I think your FDP is focusing on that particular aspect, how to teach, the teaching methodologies. This can be the main agenda of your FDP, or the main rationale of your FDP. And we have to admit that our past glory don't count for much. Like you may be a very good teacher 10 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, but it doesn't guarantee that you will be performing same way in the present scenario also. Because after the COVID lockdown, after the COVID period, a lot of changes has been witnessed by all the teachers, students, and all the stakeholders of education. So we have to update ourselves continuously. We have to analyze our strengths, our weaknesses at every completion of every session. So we have to update ourselves. We have to analyze ourselves. So is there a need to feed our mind on regular basis for qualitative improvement in teaching learning process? We have to answer this question jointly. And we have to move to a long journey toward the qualitative changes in our education system, and particularly related to the second question of last slide, that is how to teach. So we all know that quality is a philosophy of continuous improvement. We cannot make a change within one day or with the completion of one FDP. We have to make our consistent efforts to bring qualitative changes in our classroom, in our college environment, in our staff professionalism. We have to make continuous efforts in this process. Then we will be focusing upon these few things in the next 30-40 minutes. Different kind of strategies which will be moving from teacher oriented to student oriented, or a teacher directed teaching to a student directed teaching. And then another diagram is clearly showing that what is the main element, or what are the main elements of effective teaching or effective teacher. We will be focusing on these issues in the next 40-50 minutes. And at any place you feel that there is need of any discussion, there is a need of any more clarification, you are always welcome. This slide is very important and very relevant to the present scenario. That in this slide we are seeing different concept or different ideas: blended learning, flipped learning, MOOCs and OER, mobile learning, virtual classrooms, multiple intelligences, artificial intelligence. I believe that you all have listened these terms in the last 3-4 years so frequently. No doubt the concept, some of these concepts are 5 or 10 years old or 1 decade old, but in last 2 or 3 years you have heard so many times about these concepts: the flipped learning, different kind of workshop, different kind of webinars in the COVID pandemic. So I consider it like that. Up to the 2019 year 2019, for most of the teachers or for most of the educationists, these all terms were unexplored. We can say that many of us were not aware about the details of these terms. Some of us might be knowing these terms from last 5-10 years, but many of us were not aware about these terms. So we can consider year 2019 as unexplored year. But during the COVID pandemic, different kind of webinars, different kind of FDPs, different kind of programs by the HRDC centers or a UGC, we came across so many things, and we can consider year 2020 and year 2021 as an awareness year for all of us. We got awareness on these topics, these issues, these terms during the COVID pandemic. And now the year 2022 can be considered as an action taken year. We have to take action in this year or in the coming years, because when we analyze the National Education Policy 2020, we will see that these different kind of terms are used in the NEP so frequently. So the whole system of teaching learning process is going to change in the next 1 decade. By the 2030, we will be witnessing many changes in the educational system, in the teaching learning process. So we need to prepare ourselves according to the changes going on at international level as well as at a national level. So year 2030 can be considered as a survival of the fittest. So we have to analyze these terms. We have to see this timeline since year 2019 to year 2030. We have to plan ourselves. We have to plan in our institutions how to prepare ourselves, how to make our faculty ready for these changes. Because in our colleges, in our institutions, some of the staff member will be in the age of 30 to 40 years, and some of the staff members will be in the age of 40 to 50, and some of the staff member in the age of 50 to 60. We have three strata. We have three age groups in our staff, in our institutions. We have to plan in such a way that experienced person and a young person can collaborate with each other and get maximum out of these terms or techniques or tools which are going to affect our classrooms very soon. So we have to prepare for these changes in an organized manner to for the survival of ourselves as well as our institutions. So when we will see this slide, that you might have heard the word pedagogy. आपने बहुत बार सुना होगा the word pedagogy. Basically, the pedagogy word was used at the school level, or many HRDC centers organize different kind of workshop, different kind of conferences on pedagogical approaches, the redesigning the pedagogy. But basically, over the years, the researchers has said that the pedagogy word is more suitable at the school level. So basically at school level, more teacher oriented focus is seen. Then comes another term, andragogy. Andragogy is basically for adult learning. Like in our colleges, the students are entering after 17 or 18 years of age. So all are the adult learner. So the second term was andragogy. Nowadays, different researchers across the nation or across the world are talking about the heterogogy. Heterogogy means self-determined learning, because in this COVID pandemic, we have seen that till COVID pandemic, teacher was the only source of information. Teacher was the only source of information in our classrooms. But after going through this COVID pandemic, our students got many chances to interact with different kind of resources, or with the change in the digital technologies, or the availability of and the development of infrastructure in IT sector has given opportunity to students to explore different kind of resources. So now in our education system, teacher is one of the resource. Just if we will see just 5 or 10 years back, the teacher was the only source of information. But nowadays, teacher is one of the resource for information for the students. So we have to admit that, we have to accept this fact, and we have to prepare ourselves, our classrooms, for self-determined learning. Now, when we are talking about the concept of flipped learning, the Professor Purizi was talking about the constructivist learning, the constructivist approach. If we are going to use those approaches, flipped learning, constructivist approach, we have to change our minds. We have to change our attitude toward the teaching profession. Because if you will see the NEP 2020, the focus is more on the students, not on the teachers. Focus is more on the learning, not on the teaching. So we have to accept this change, and we have to prepare ourselves for the self-determined and self-directed learning, where the focus is more on the students, and teacher will act as a facilitator, not a stage. In earlier time, the teacher was the main person on the stage. Now the teacher is a stage setter, and the student are the main actors or the main player who will play in the ground, and teacher will only facilitate the teaching learning process. So we have to accept this major change in our teaching learning process, and we have to accept that nowadays we are not the only source of information for our students. So when if we will be able to accept these things as early as possible, it will help us to change our teaching methodologies. It will help us to change our attitude toward teaching learning process. I will be showing 3 slides. One is it shows a spoon feeding process in our colleges as well as in our schools. I have taken these 3 pictures from the NCERT book. So when we are analyzing our teaching learning process, or the qualitative things going on in our teaching learning process, in many of the classes, still we are focusing upon the spoon feeding. Math, science, literature, biotechnology, computer. We always think that student is coming with an empty mind, and we have to fill their mind with the knowledge or the information. Because when we consider these terms, knowledge, information, data, so knowledge is at a higher place. We always try to fill the mind of the student with the information or with the data. Data is the lowest level. Then we are moving to the information, then moving to the knowledge. But in most of the classes, still the teachers are focusing upon the spoon feeding. I doesn't mean to say that you all are doing spoon feeding, but we all have a same kind of mentality and same kind of attitude toward our teaching learning process. We focus more on the content. We focus more on the content matter. So this is a general scenario, not in our college, not in your college, not in one particular college. This is a general phenomena. Then this kind of environment is also prevailing in many of the institutions. This is a teacher dominated classroom. Basically, we can make atmosphere in the classroom in a 3-way, environment in our classroom with a 3-way. One is a teacher dominated classroom. Another one is a student dominated classroom. Third one can be where no control of teacher or student. But the best one is a democratic environment where teacher and student can work together. So we have to change this kind of environment in our classroom where the student are the passive listener and teacher is the active agent. The last picture. Here you can see that most of the teachers want that whenever the student comes to their class, it should keep all his dream, all his desire, her desire, curiosity, feeling, sexuality, personal experiences, adolescence, all things out of the classroom. If you are sitting in my classroom, you only focus on whatever I am teaching to you. It is not possible because physically a student can be present in your class, but mentally he or she can be somewhere else. We can't control. We can't compel the student to think about the mathematics. We can't compel students to think about the literature or any other subject, because when the student is sitting in your class, he or she may be physically present but mentally somewhere else, mentally in the market 17 market, mentally on the lake or in mall. So we can't control these things. We have to accept the student with his or her dreams, desires, feelings, sexuality, curiosity, the adolescence characteristics, the personal experiences. We have to accept these things. So these were the three pictures which are showing the general classroom climate or the teaching learning process in our colleges, schools, or even in the universities, many of the universities. So we have to change this type of environment to a democratic environment where students should be in the focus and teacher should be a facilitator for the teaching learning process. So these are the changes which are going to affect each and everyone, every stakeholder of education. We have to move from linear to hypermedia learning. During last one decade, we have seen so many changes in the information and communication technology, the different kind of changes in the teaching learning process. So we have to change from linear to hypermedia learning. Then the second one is from instruction to construction and discovery. Like Professor Puri was referring to constructivist approach. Constructivist approach says that the student can construct knowledge by themselves in the classroom, because every student in your classroom comes with a background, comes with a pre-learning, comes with the previous knowledge. One student is coming from the rural area, another is coming from a business class family, and the third student is coming from the service class, and the fourth student is coming from deprived section of the society. So you are interacting with the different kind of students, and each student has its own characteristics. The diversity. In the earlier session, we were also talking about the diversity in the classroom. Now we have to use that diversity to construct the knowledge, because if we will allow students to interact with each other, with every person in the present in the classroom, and teacher will act as a guide, teacher will act as a facilitator to organize that learning process. If we are able to organize a learning situation for different kind of students present in your classroom, you can see that different kind of interaction can occur in your classroom. The different kind of discussions can be witnessed in your classroom. So we have to play a role of a facilitator, where The student will be discovering the knowledge, student will be constructing the knowledge. That can be the best place for student where they can enjoy their learning. And this type of learning will have a permanent impact on their minds. So they will be, okay, I'm checking the chat box. Is there any question? I think 6-7 messages were in the chat box. No, okay. So we have to move from instruction to construction and discovery. And then third one is from teacher-centered to the learner-centered education. We have already discussed this change, which is going to affect each and everyone. Then from absorbing material to learning, how to navigate and how to learn. Like we have just taken one example of teacher as a facilitator. Then from exam-oriented to lifelong learning, from learning as torture to student to learning as a fun, and from the teacher as transmitter to the teacher as facilitator. These are the changes which are going to happen in our classroom or already happened in our classroom. We have to adapt our teaching methodologies, techniques, and tools according to the changes to be successful, to be an effective teacher in our classrooms. These are the different method techniques you are using in your classroom. The red colored one are mostly used by the most of the teacher. That can be a lecture, demonstration, a discussion, lecture come discussion. These are the common methodologies or the techniques we are using in our classrooms. Here I'm not going into the details of the term techniques and methods. There is one difference, the minor difference between a method and a strategy or a technique, but we are using these terms interchangeable for this context only. So the lecture, demonstration, discussion, lecture come discussion are very common methodologies used in the classroom. In some of the papers or in some of the subject, we are also using case studies, the problem-based learning project, the field trips, project-based learning, the role play, symposium, panel discussion, brainstorming, inductive deductive, group work, gamification, and scaffolding. I think we all are using one or the another technique as per our syllabus or as per our subject matter. But out of all these techniques, the red one are the more dominated one, and the black one are rarely used in one subject or another subject. But we have to understand that the lecture, demonstration, discussion, and lecture come discussion, these four techniques or the methodologies are basically the teacher-oriented methodologies. And the other one are basically the student-oriented methodology. We have to make a shift from teacher-dominated to the student-dominated classrooms, student-dominated techniques and tools in teaching, techniques and tools in assessment. So we have to make a shift from teacher-dominated to the student-dominated classroom environment, classroom techniques. My main purpose of adding this slide was to aware each and everyone that we have to be ready for this big change from teacher-oriented methodologies to the student-oriented methodology. Yes, one question in the chat box. That is scaffolding. Yes, scaffolding is very important techniques in the teaching learning process. In this technique, we are not focusing on a big goals or a big topic to cover in the classroom. We divide that particular topic into a small parts. Then we are completing one part at once, and then second, then third, then fourth. Scaffolding is basically guiding the student. Whenever student will work at their own level in the classroom, scaffolding is hand holding. Means you have taken one big topic and divided that topic into different parts, and at the initial level you are giving some hints to the student to explore the whole content. Scaffolding means holding a finger of a student, telling a path to the student that this can be the right path, that this can be the journey for you people to learn that topic. So scaffolding is basically a guiding technique to the students when they are involved in self-directed learning. Jean Piaget has done a good work in this particular area, scaffolding. So scaffolding is basically hand holding of the student whenever they are busy in the student-centered teaching learning process. Then one question is, sir, we can use stories also as a tool to teach. Yes, stories are a very good source in our classrooms. I would also like to mention here that one radio program, Nalesh Mishra ki Kahaniyan. I think many of us have uh, listened the stories of Nalesh Mishra. Whenever Nalesh Mishra is telling a story on radio, sometimes we feel that the whole situation is created before us. So that is the art of storytelling. He create a scene of a particular story in a wonderful manner that we can see the buildings, we can imagine the rural or the urban setting as explained by Nilesh Mishra in his stories. So we can use stories also in our classrooms, and in a like in a history subject. I have seen some videos of some teachers from Pakistan. I would, I think I'm not able to remind the particular name of that Jano, Sikho or Jano. I will add that name in my presentation, and I will share the PDF with Dr. Kavita Arora ma'am. So she can share with all the faculty members. It is a wonderful YouTube channel in context to history content. That person or the team of the YouTube channel has created a wonderful content on different historical topics through the stories, through the explanation of a particular event in a very beautiful manner. Like we are watching a movie in a theater, you can show the content to your students. They have created wonderful stories of the historical events of the World War I, the World War II, and other historical events. So I will share the YouTube link with Dr. Kavita Arora ma'am, or I would also try to add in the PDF file also. That is a very good YouTube channel created by a team of teachers in Pakistan, having a very good content on history subject. So these are the different techniques which we can use in our classroom to make a shift from teacher-oriented classroom to a student-oriented classroom. Then coming to the next slide, these are the common approaches used across the nation nowadays: concept learning, the cooperative learning, the flipped teaching, the constructivist approach, the blended mode of teaching. You all must have listened these terms in different research papers, the different faculty development programs organized by some colleges or the HRDC centers, or the different document available on. Yes, Sikho or Jano. Madam Jhansi has written in the chat box that the channel name, Sikho or Jano. Very good YouTube channel for content in the field of history. So these are the few concept or the approaches used across the nation or across the world nowadays: concept learning, cooperative learning, the flipped teaching, constructivist approach, and blended mode of teaching. we have to learn the theoretical basis of these techniques. Then we can try to use these approaches in our classroom one by one. We cannot make change. We cannot make change in our classroom in one day or in a 7 days, but we can make some efforts to use these concept learning, the cooperative learning strategies one by one in a classroom. For example, we can plan that in the first month, we will use 1 or 2 strategies of cooperative learning. If you will go to the Google and just put a word cooperative learning, you will find a number of techniques of cooperative learning. Basically, the cooperative learning is a student-centered technique used in a classroom. Different kind of strategies are given under the cooperative. It is an umbrella term like jigsaw, think and pair. These type of different strategies are given under the term cooperative learning. Like in the science subject, we can use a student team achievement division strategy, which comes under the cooperative learning. For social science content, history, political science, we can use the cooperative learning technique that the name is jigsaw technique. And for the language field, for English, the Hindi and the other language, we can use different kind of strategies given under the cooperative learning. So that is a umbrella term. Different kind of techniques are given under cooperative learning. We can use different kind of techniques as per our requirement. In the same way, we can organize our classroom for construction of knowledge, which comes under the constructivist approach. Basically, the cooperative learning strategies are also a part and parcel of the constructivist approach. All the different type of strategies under cooperative learning has inbuilt structure to give student freedom to learn in a classroom. All the techniques are creating a particular type of environment where student will be an active agents of learning and the teachers will be the facilitator. Basically, whenever we are teaching, we have 3 phases. One is a pre-active phase, another is a interactive phase, and the last one is a post-active phase. All these student-centered techniques have more active role of teacher in the pre-active stage. As I have said that we can divide the teaching into 3 phases. One is a pre-active phase. Second is an interactive phase, the actual teaching learning process in classroom. And third one is a post-active phase. So the role of teacher is more in the pre-active stage for planning the things, for organizing the things, for making plans, for making different kind of strategies to make a learning situation. So the role of teacher is more active at a pre-active stage, and the role of student is more active in an interactive stage. In the actual teaching learning process, we have to create a particular type of situation before the students. Student will be learning by learning by interacting with each other, learning by a thoughtful discussion with each other in a group, in a pair. So we have to create such type of learning situations in our classroom where we can use the learnings of the student to construct new knowledge. That is the main approach, constructivist approach. And the another one, which is becoming a very famous approach, already University Grant Commission has given reference at many places about the blended mode of teaching. Our national education policy is also given reference of a blended mode of teaching in our colleges and universities. The US is also recommending that a particular part of our curriculum can be completed through the MOOCs. That is also one form of blended mode of teaching. So the policies, the nation is moving toward the blended mode of teaching, and we have to prepare ourselves also for the blended mode of teaching, because nowadays we are teaching digital learners. If we will compare the characteristics of the student of today with the student of 1970s or 80s or 90s or even 2000, we can't make a simple comparison between these two type of students, because nowadays we have to deal with the digital learners. Every student comes to our classroom has a basic knowledge about the technology. The exposure is altogether different to the students. So we cannot compare the teaching in the 80s or 90s with the teaching in the 2020 or 2022. We have to make a shift in our teaching learning process. No doubt, the teacher teaching from the many years have a wonderful experience. There is no replacement of their experience, but they have to adapt to the changing scenario in the whole nation or in the society. So we have to use our experience in a new way for the betterment of our institutions, for the betterment of our students. So these are the different type of approaches which we can adapt in our institutions. So we have to redesign our pedagogical approach in classroom by using these techniques and tools. We have to we have to deal with the digital students, and knowledge translates into wisdom, which in turn translate into success. If we are able to provide a situation to the students where they can construct the knowledge, where they can build the knowledge in our classrooms, that will be the best place in our institutions. We have to make such kind of environment in our classrooms where we will provide the situations where teacher will guide the student, where teacher will act as a facilitator, and students will be acting on the content, and teacher will guide them what is right and what is wrong. The act will be done by the students, the teacher will be the guiding force, because on the one side, with the digital technologies, or with the Google, with the different kind of ICT enabled tools, student can access a large number of information, but he or she doesn't know which is relevant, which is not relevant. So the task of the teacher is to guide the student in the right direction. The task of the teacher is to facilitate the student to move on a right direction. But the movements, the actions will be made by the students, not a spoon feeding by the teachers. So our main task will be to provide effective teaching to the digital learners. Now we can also see one, 2 or 3 points of the characteristics of the digital learners. What kind of students are coming to our classroom? First of all, we have to understand that there is one generation gap, because nowadays students are belonging to a generation born and raised in technology rich environment. In our homes, every 3 or 4 year kid has mobile in his or her hands. So this is a generation belonging to technology and growing up with technology. And we all have learned these technology at a later stage. So there is a one generation gap. We have to understand it. Will enter jobs that don't exist at present. The problem is that students in our classroom are not aware what kind of jobs will be offered to them when they will be completing their BSc, they will be completing their particular course, because in the fast changing world, the jobs are changing at very fast rate. After COVID pandemic, a number of jobs are created. The nature of jobs are changing at a very frequent basis, because the world is changing at a fast rate. We have to prepare our students for these fast changing scenarios across the world. We cannot prepare the student for a particular job because the jobs are changing. So we have to focus upon the process, not on the product. Then digitally literate, network, and multitasker. These are the characteristics of student coming to our classroom nowadays. These are the digital learners with a different kind of challenges, with a different kind of characteristics. We have to understand the students first before using any technique or tool in our teaching learning process. We can adopt technology for our student in a different way. There are 4 levels for the integration of digital technologies in our teaching learning process. These 4 types are: one can be a substitution. Technology used as a direct substitute for what a teacher might do already with no functional changes. That is a simple substitution of a task which was done by the teacher with the technology. That is a simple substitution. Then second one is augmentation. Technology is a direct substitute, but there is functional improvement over what a teacher did without the technology. That is a very good change we have seen in our classrooms. To enrich our teaching learning process, we can use different kind of technologies for the augmentation in our classroom. Then comes the modification. Technology allow the teacher to significantly redesign the task. Then last one is a redefinition. Technology allows a teacher to do what was previously not possible. The virtual labs. Before COVID pandemic, we were not very much aware about the virtual labs. Many of us, some of the virtual labs were established in 2014-15, but we came across these terms in the COVID pandemic, where student can do an experimentation on a different concept of chemistry or physics in a virtual lab. No doubt we cannot replace the actual lab with the virtual lab, but some of the experiments can be made in a virtual lab which are not possible in an actual lab. Like in a chemistry, you want to see a particular blast, a particular chemical reaction, which may or may not be possible in the lab in your institution, but you can experiment in a virtual lab. So we can use technology to do those things which were not possible before the virtual labs. In the same way, the different kind of technologies can be used to enhance the performance of teachers as well as students. This is one concept map prepared by Professor Pyle. It's a beautiful concept map or a mind map, which shows that how fast the changes are in the teaching learning process or in the pedagogy or the andragogy. We have to analyze ourselves where we stand right now, where our institutions stand right now, at what stage we are. The world is changing so fast. The foreign universities are coming to the Indian education system. They might be setting their campus in Chandigarh, Mohali, Ludhiana, Amritsar, any place. Are we prepared to compete with the technologies, the teaching methodologies they will be using? Whether our institutions are prepared for these changes, we have to analyze ourselves. We have to do a brainstorming session. We have to conduct a discussion session among our staff members to analyze where we stand and what should be the strategy to move forward. Because we can't make a big changes within 1 day or a 7 day or 10 days. We have to make short-term plans as well as long-term plans to make a major shift in our teaching learning process, to make a major shift in redesigning the pedagogy in our institutions. Different kind of changes, different kind of modification in teaching, in assessment are shown in this particular concept map. Professor Pelle expired a few days back, and he has done a wonderful work on concept map or mind maps. We can also use this type of mind map or concept map to teach our basic subject of physics, chemistry, then bio, our history, political science, geography. We can use this kind of concept map in our classrooms also. Student can be motivated to sit together and find the connections between one thing and another thing. This is a beautiful way to teach student a particular concept. For example, concept of cell. We can teach the concept of cell with the use of such type of concept map or mind map. There are different kind of software easily available on internet which can be used to prepare this type of concept map or mind map. This is another technique which can be used in our classrooms for teaching in a different manner. Like the main topic here is ICT and pedagogy. It has different kind of relation, different kind of linkages between one concept. One concept is related with another one, interrelations of different concept. So we can also prepare such type of concept map, such type of mind maps for a particular subject to teach our student. Even the students can sit together to make such type of mind maps, such kind of concept maps. Then comes, this is a very beautiful model. I think in one of the research paper, a lot of benefits are written about this particular model. This is basically a Tpack model. Like we were exploring the characteristics of digital learners, in the coming days, we have to prepare about three things. One is technological advancement or technological knowledge. Another one is a pedagogical knowledge. Pedagogical knowledge means knowing the student. We have to understand the student's characteristics. We have to understand the background of the student. We have to understand the nature of student before applying any kind of techniques, tools, methodologies. So that is called pedagogical knowledge of a student. Second, we must have a knowledge of the technological changes in the educational scenario. Like in previous slide, we have seen different kind of techniques, tools of related to ICT. So we must have a thorough understanding of these ICT related changes in our education system. That is a technological knowledge. And the third one is our main subject knowledge, our content knowledge. We have to integrate these three things. One is technological knowledge. Second one is our pedagogical knowledge. And third one is our content knowledge. So this is a model, Tpack model, technological, pedagogical, content knowledge. So we have to prepare ourselves for such type of teaching learning process where we can use Tpack model we can use technology, we can use our pedagogical knowledge, and we can use our content knowledge. By integrating these three things, we can do any kind of experimentation in our classroom. We can bring any kind of innovation in our classroom by using or by integrating these three things. No doubt, it is a very difficult task for a senior teachers to go through different kind of technological gadget, technological techniques. Some of the exceptions are everywhere, but for most of the teachers, this is a little bit difficult task. I would like to mention one example here about the banking system. When internet, when the technology, when the computers, when the ICT was introduced in banking system, there was a lot of fear among the bank employees, because till then they were working on the vouchers and they were more comfortable by doing each and everything by their hands on papers. But suddenly the government introduced the computer system, the ICT enabled banking system. So there was a lot of fear among many of the employees, and some of them have opted for premature retirements also in the banking sector. But now we can see that the persons who have shown a positive attitude toward technology, the persons who have made a group of different kind of senior and fresh employee in the banking system, they are enjoying the technological advancement. Now, every transaction, every activity in the banking sector is done through the technology. And they are very much comfortable nowadays as compared to the initial years. So whenever there is a change, we always resist to that change. We are not ready to go with the change. But with the passage of time, we learn so many things. We can make teams of fresh entrant in the teaching profession and the experienced one to make a good team for our institutions, for our students. So in this way, we can easily adapt ourselves. We can easily use such kind of models, such kind of techniques in our colleges, in our universities, where we can integrate technology, we can integrate our pedagogical knowledge, and we can integrate our content knowledge for making our teaching learning process more effective, more productive, more student oriented in our institutions. So these are the few points. I would like to listen some of the problems or some of the questions from the participant. We will take just 10-20 minutes more to cover the whole presentation. Any question till now from the participant side? Any question related to the content we have covered? Because as a teacher, teaching is always a two-sided process. कुछ सवाल तुम करो, कुछ सवाल हम करें, हर सवाल का जवाब फिर एक सवाल हो. That is the best teaching learning process in our classrooms. So any question from the teaching staff side related to the different techniques or the different changes we have discussed during the last 40-50 minutes, which are going to affect each and everyone in the coming years. If we will go to the details of the NEP 2020, it is talking about these changes in every section, in every part of the NEP 2020. And moreover, our students will be demanding these things. We can't satisfy the curiosity of the students with the lectures only. We have to adapt ourselves. We have to modify our teaching learning process as per the needs of the student. Yes, ma'am, please. Any question in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself. Yes, Dr. Kulveer Singh Rana, please, sir.
Yeah, very good afternoon, sir.
Very
And
good afternoon, sir.
thank you for giving such knowledge of innovative types of things. Sir, my question is due to some using tools in online education, and suppose the students are new there, meaning first year students is there because they don't know what actually is going on universities or colleges and actually what happened there. And if there is any technical fault and they are making some issues, then how we should handle them, and to we can say that how to say that technical fault as they can understand.
Dr. Ranis, can you elaborate your question? You're talking about the misuse of particular one app, like we are using Zoom application. Some of the students are creating problems for teachers in the Zoom classes. Are you talking in this direction?
No, sir, no, I am not talking about this direction. Suppose we are using some online tool, whatever is the tool there, and suppose network issues are there,
Yes.
and some other faults are there. They are not making disturbance, but they are thinking that they don't know nothing how to use, and whatever the activity they are thinking, so they would like chat, we are not understanding other things, then how we can handle technical faults only.
Okay. You're talking about the ICT literacy of the students of like first year student in a BSc or a
Yes,
BA or
yes, whatever,
BCom.
whatever,
Yes,
mostly
yes. For
mostly
example,
the
you're
professional courses.
okay in a professional course, you are using particular virtual lab in your classroom, and students are not very much aware about that concept, and they are facing many kind of problems. I think you are talking regarding these kind of problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, okay. So, sir, first of all, we have to prepare our students. Whenever we are using, we are talking about the use of technology in our classrooms as an innovative way or to bring innovation in our classroom, we have to start as we have to start by analyzing the skills of our students. Are they able to uh, do the work as you desire? Are they able to operate that particular application properly? If they are able to do it, you go with it. Or if you are feeling that they are not able to interact on that particular application or a particular technique, ICT enabled technique, then we have to train them before using that particular technique or an online assessment tool or online teaching tool. We have to train them. This is the work with the teachers, with an institution. Like in our institution, we started Moodle. When in the initial phase, we faced many kind of problems from student side. They were not able to log in. They were not able to submit their assignments. They were facing a number of problems to operate or to work on Moodle. But these problems were at the initial level. We assigned the duty of two teachers to note down the different kind of problems the students are facing to use Moodle platform. They noted down the different kind of issues of the student, and one by one we prepare a short lecture, short videos. We prepared a self-explanatory PDF files for the students to train them, to update their knowledge to use a particular platform. So whenever we will be using any technological application, any technological technique in our teaching learning process, first of all, we have to make aware our student and update their skills so that they can get a maximum benefit from it. So the technological part is only a one change. We have to change our pedagogical knowledge also. We have to change our way of explaining the content also, because the students are nowadays want the change in the teaching learning process. We have to adapt as per the demands, as per the needs of the students. Any other question, please? I think Dr. Ranaji, you got your
Thank you, sir.
answer that
Thank you, sir.
first of
Thank you.
all, we have to train our students
Yeah.
for a
Thank you, sir.
particular app. And we can start with the simple applications in the starting.
Yes, yes, I understand. Thank you, sir.
Next, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dr.
No.
Kavita this side.
Yes, please, ma'am.
Sir, though it is because of pandemic that even online examinations are nowadays conducted, but I think so that made students a bit lethargic also.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely, it is not the best way to take online examination. The way we are taking the online examinations is not a best way to assess the students.
Yes, sir.
If we will be taking the example of SNDT University, Mumbai, if we will be taking the example of other good universities, they framed a particular type of questions, a different kind of assessment techniques during the COVID pandemic. But in our Punjab University, we are still using the same question paper which we were using for the offline mode. That is not the way to take online examination during the COVID pandemic. We were not able to prepare even the open book examination based question papers. So it is a failure on our end. It is a failure on the end of the administrators that they were not able to understand the purpose of the online examination. So we totally failed in this COVID pandemic to assess the students properly. So this is a fault due to our lack of knowledge, due to the lack of innovation in our administration, that we were not able to assess the student properly. And these 2 or 3 years are very dangerous in context of the education of the students. We will be facing so many problems because of these 3 years, year 2020, year 2021, and even the year 2022. It is a very difficult task to reorient the students now for the offline classes, for the work which they have done during the COVID pandemic. This is really a serious issue with our education system, and especially for our Punjab state. Some of the states have tried their best to be innovative in this COVID pandemic, in their teaching learning process also, and in their assessment also. But we haven't made any kind of innovation, and we were even not able to decide we have to use Zoom platform, we have to use Google platform, or we have to use WebEx or the other platforms. In the end of the 2020, our universities were talking on these issues, whether we should use Zoom, Google Meet, or WebEx. So it shows that we were not prepared for this kind of COVID pandemic, and we totally were not able to assess the students properly. Yes, ma'am. Can we proceed further? We will just take 10-15 minutes more, 10 minutes more. So, dear staff members, you are doing your best till now. No doubt, you have a wonderful experience and wonderful teaching skills with you people, but on the same time, we have to upgrade ourselves on continuous basis, because you are not driving the same car which you were using 10 years back. You are not using the same cell phone which you are using 10 years back. You are not even using the same house you were using 10, 20, 30 years back. You have made some modification in your house. You have made some modification in your technological instruments, your different kind of appliances, but we have to make some changes in our teaching learning process also. When the society is changing, when we are changing, we have to bring some innovations, we have to bring some changes in our teaching learning methodologies also, to address the needs of the students of 21st century, and we have to compete with the education system at the national as well as the global level. So we can we can make some changes in our teaching learning process. We can make a shift from teacher oriented classroom to a student oriented classroom by using different kind of techniques which are focusing more upon the student activities as compared to the teacher activity. I will be using just 3-4 slides and maximum 5 to 7 minutes to cover those slides to set a particular structure where we can use these techniques. First of all, for using any kind of student-centered technique, we have to prepare our stage, that is set induction. First of all, we have to bring the mood of learners into the topic which we are going to teach in our classroom. We have to make learner attentive and receptive. We have to see the age level, the language level, the previous knowledge, the difficulty areas, and other key areas of the student when we are planning a particular student-centered technique in our classroom. We have to consider all the characteristics of the student. We have to understand the student properly. We can make use of some verbal questions. We can make use of some audiovisual material. We can use a particular situation or problem to motivate the student, to engage the students, or any kind of experience sharing from your very good experience of past years. So with use of any kind of technique, you can set induction. You can make ready your students for using a particular student-centered technique. So first of all, we have to set induction. We have to prepare a stage where students can perform. Secondly, we have to introduce our topic with a proper purpose. Even we can tell the objectives of your lesson for your students. For example, on a particular day, on 23rd of the February 2022, you are going to teach a particular topic. What kind of objective you have framed for that particular 40 minutes classroom? You can tell them the learning objectives. We will be focusing upon these 4 things in the next 40 minutes. Then students' attention will be on those 4 points. For that purpose, a beautiful document or beautiful concept is available in our education system, that is a Bloom's taxonomy. BLOOMS. Benjamin Bloom is a person who has developed a particular taxonomy of objectives, which we call Bloom's taxonomy of objective. So, dear staff member, you can use that taxonomy to frame your objectives of your classroom. There is no need to write the objective in detail in your teacher diary or in any other place, but these 3 or 4 objectives must be framed in your mind, and you can share with student. These objectives will guide you to select a particular teaching technique. These objectives will guide you to select a particular teaching learning material. These objectives will guide you to select a particular assessment technique, because these 3 things are interrelated. What type of objective you will choose for your classroom? You have to choose a particular type of technique to fulfill those objectives. And to test the learning of the student, you have to use a particular level of assessment tools. So learning objective is a very good point. You can go through the Google and find this Bloom revised taxonomy. These are the different levels of teaching. We can analyze ourselves. We can make a classroom analysis on the basis of these objectives, where we stand. where we reached till now. Remembering is the lowest level and creating is the highest level. In our education system, this is the biggest problem, that we teach at remembering level and we test at creating level. जिसको हम इंग्लिश और पंजाबी में बोले कि हम बीज कुछ और रहे हैं और फ्रूट कुछ और चाहते हैं। जो फ्रूट आप चाहते हो वैसा ही आपको बीज बोना पड़ेगा। सो वी आर मेकिंग अ ब्लंडर इन दिस particular context, that sometime we are not aware that at what level we have framed our objective, at what level we have taught in our classroom, and at what level we are supposing that a student will be, we are expecting that student will be performing. So this is a big gap between the expectations and the work we are doing. So we can analyze ourselves at what level we have framed our objective, whether it is at a remembering level. So then we have to make assessment tools at the level of remembering, not at the level of evaluation, not at the level of creating. If you have objective in your mind related to creating level, like generating new idea, generating new product, designing a new product, constructing a knowledge, planning for something new, then you cannot teach these things with the lecture method. You cannot teach these things with the explanation method. You have to evolve different kind of techniques. You have to evolve different kind of procedure where students can generate new ideas. Only lectures, only demonstration cannot create a new ideas. You have to create a particular type of environment where student can create new ideas, student can invent something, student can create something. So this is very beautiful document, Bloom's revised taxonomy, to guide us what kind of technique or tool we can use in our classrooms. We have to move from start with what, move to why, make connection with why, then we can move to the next level. Like I'm quoting one example here. Do you know what climate change is? What means at the lowest level, remembering. Do you know what climate change is? And then at the next level, what are 3 causes of climate change? We are moving from one by one from what to why. Then you can move to why do some claims that climate change is the biggest crisis facing this generation. This is the movement from what to why. So we can frame our objective, we can plan our techniques and tools according to that objective, and then we can devise our assessment tool according to that particular objective. So objective is a very important. Objective will give us direction. Objective will give a direction to our student, what to do, how to assess. So we can plan properly. Then comes, we have to organize our classroom properly as per the particular selected technique of teaching or tool of teaching. Like we are using cooperative learning. So our classroom setting can be a round shaped classroom where student can sit in a groups. So we can make a shift in our seating plan. Also, we have to organize each activity in a planned way. We have to decide the sequence of each activity. Then we have to properly manage our time for each activity. Then we have to continuously provide different kind of stimulus to involves all type of student in your classroom. There are different kind of student in your classroom. You have to use their previous knowledge. You have to act as a facilitator and guide them as and when they require a particular guidance, but the focus should be the activity of the students. This is very important. Continuously reinforce your students. It is very important to make your learning more productive, more purposeful. Even your single word, very good, beta, shabash beta, good, come on, these kind of words or any kind of reinforcement can play a big role in the teaching learning process in your particular technique method to make it more effective. At the end of the session, you must summarize whatever you have done in last 40 minutes, 50 minutes properly, so that even if any student was not able to understand, he can get an idea what was going on in the whole process. So in this way, we can reach to the evaluation level. And again, the same point, we should always evaluate the students as we have planned, as we have taught. If we have taught at the remembering level, then our evaluation tool should be at the remembering level. If we have taught at the analysis level, then we must prepare our evaluation tool at the analysis level. So we can use these kind of settings, we can use this kind of strategies to make our classroom more effective by planning properly. So everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. This is a very good statement given by Leo Tolstoy. So we have a simple solution, two type of solution. In Hindi, the meaning is same, bhag lo, but in English, it gives a different kind of meaning, run away or participate. The world is changing at a so fast rate. The policies are changing at a fast rate. The students' characteristics are changing at a fast rate. So we have to make minor changes in our teaching learning process, as your FDP's main agenda is also to make a shift or make a change or bring innovation in teaching learning process to be active in the institution, in the educational scenario. So the choice is with each and everyone. Everyone knows about these things and he or she can decide which way to choose. So with these words, I am completing here. Any question from your side is most welcome. Previous side, thanks for the Sikho channel. Yes, Gurdeep Singh, yes, that channel is a Sikho or Jano YouTube channel. You can see the wonderful videos on that particular channel. Any other question, please? I have completed from my side. I am stopping.
Sir has raised.
Yes, please.
Anand Chaudhary, sir, do you have any question? Anand Chaudhary. I think, sir, he earlier raised his hand.
It will be by mistake, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, yes, please, sir, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, I took time to unmute my mic.
Okay, please, sir, please.
So my
please.
question is, we are talking about student-centric classes, lectures, and all, and similarly, we are talking about LMSs like online video lectures and all. So if I'm talking about video lecture kind of content, either it is on YouTube or other platform, or sometimes like in the situation of pandemic, we are having these kind of lectures and all. So these methods are teacher-centric, because there are already lots of information available on the internet, and we are through these kind of video lectures, we are providing these kind of content as well. So is it the teacher-centric approach or a student-centric approach?
Sir, basically we have to. Yes, please complete your question, sir. Please.
So, sir, my point is if we are advocating about the student-centric approach, so is it right way to provide them e-lectures through videos and all, which is completely teaching-centric? Do we need a classroom environment to conduct a student-centric approach, or what?
Sir, you have raised a very good question that on the one side, we are focusing upon developing the video content where teacher is explaining a particular content and we are providing to the students. You mean to say this is basically a teacher-centered approach? Sir, we have to make.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have to make a balance between the technology and the student-centered activities. We can organize a number of activities by using different kind of technological tools with the student. Like you have given one example that you have recorded your one video lesson in 2020 on a particular topic. Now you can share the particular link with the students of that recorded lesson, and you can organize one full session on discussion on that particular topic in your classroom. You can make a group of students, 4 or 5 students groups in your classroom. You can give them one assignment that this is my recorded lesson. You go through the lesson and come in the classroom with a question in your mind related to your lesson. So in this way, you have used your prepared material for a thoughtful discussion in the classroom. Now in your classroom, you can explore the creativity, you can explore the analytical mind, you can explore the discussion level of your student, and you will feel that different kind of environment can be created in the classroom by using your recorded lesson. So if we will be using these technological things in a planned way, then we can organize a number of student activity in our classroom. Sir, can we do like this? A recorded lesson can be given to the students, and on the next day, we can organize our classroom into different groups, and we will be asking the student to tell different kind of problems, different kind of queries related to that recorded lesson. I think now each student will get a chance to interact with you. Each student will be able to tell the difficulty in a particular part of that lecture. That can be more useful as compared to the just lecture or a discussion, a demonstration in a classroom. Can we use like this? Professor Anandji, can we use like this?
Sir, that means you want to tell that there should be amalgamation of this thing, like we have to represent like these kind of lectures, and then we need to ask students for their approaches or their reactions for that particular topic, right?
Sir, it can be a two-way. One can be your recorded or already recorded lesson available on the YouTube. That's why I am saying that nowadays, teacher is one of the source of information. For example, you are teaching a democracy topic to your students. I will be using 2 or 3 reference books and preparing a lecture from that particular book. And the same type of lecture is already available on the internet, already available on the UC website or any e-portal. We can even use that lecture to our students. We do not need to record the same lesson again and again. We can use the available resources and improve the classroom interaction or the student participation by using that particular lecture. So you can use in both ways, even your recorded lesson or the already recorded lesson. So we have to. Yes, please go ahead.
But sir, my thing is, my question is, like, is it possible in pandemic kind of situations where there is no options available for classroom interaction? Is it possible to have a student-centric approach of the learning?
Sure, sir. Sure, definitely. There are a number, like whenever you are using Google Meet, you can use Jamboard. You can use different kind of technological tools where different kind of interaction can be made with the students. So there are a number of approaches available through ICT mode also, where we can interact with the student, we can make student active. No doubt it's a difficult task, but we can. Any other question, please?
No, sir. No. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Always welcome, sir. Always welcome. I think in the last part of our session, we are more focused upon the technological changes in our classrooms. Obviously, these are the ongoing trend in our education system, but we can focus different kind of student-centered activity. Like I have mentioned, cooperative learning. In the same way, flipped learning. these kind of strategies are very useful if we can give content to the students and then we can discuss in detail in our classrooms. The student will really enjoy this kind of teaching as compared to chalk and talk method.
True, sir. Any other question? Any queries? No, I think so, sir. Everybody is quite happy because it was really very impressive, inspiring session, sir. Can anyone hear me? So can you hear me?
You're audible, ma'am. Audible.
Sir, I would like to thank you. Indeed, it was really very impressive and inspiring session. And I think the entire focus was so informative that everybody enjoyed, and it was really memorable for us, and it will be having a long lasting impact on us, sir. But before saying that we have come to an end of the session, I will request everybody. I can see everybody's trying to put themselves on the mode, but please, I will request each one of you to turn on your videos, please. Please, each one of you. It's a request. Plus, if you will not do, we will not be able to give you the certificates. So please, we have to do it. We need to have a group photograph. Everybody has to be there. Thank you, Ji. Everybody, please. It's a big request. I can see many of you still not there. Please turn on your videos so that we can have a group photograph.
No, ma'am. Ma'am, at present, we'll take a photo, ma'am.
Just 2 to 3 minutes. We just need to have group photographs. I can see majority of them, like many of you not turning on your videos. Please turn them on because we need it for certificates, because it will give your participation. I mean, attendance is also going to be taken from one of this criteria.
Long is it?
Thank you for so beautiful faces. I think we need to have more beautiful faces on the screen.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to discuss some of my views and points with all the participants. And once again, congratulations to Dev Samaj College for Women for organizing this FDP on a very relevant topic in today's scenario.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for enlightening us. And now for the participants, dear participants, we have a lunch break and we'll see you for the session 3, around 3.
Madam, what about feedback form of this session? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What about this session feedback form?
I think that was being sent in the group, sir.
What, madam?
It was sent in the group, sir.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.